What a sight. Wiz Calistro's set looks beautiful here. Kind of a perfect setting for these RWBs. That is pleasing. Hello, everybody. This is a Lamley Showcase. Fantastic preview. This just arrived from Mattel. You know what it is. I am so excited to open this up. Check it out. Give it a first look. We are going to get right to it. RWB returns. It already returned in premium earlier this year in car culture. The third version, the third release of this particular one. But now we get the sequel to the original RWB RLC model that was released back in, I believe, 2020. So it's been 5 years, 5 long years, so much anticipation, so much wondering if we were going to see a second one. That time has come. Here it is, goes on sale Tuesday. Not entirely sure, I think that's September 2nd, not entirely sure when I'm posting this, but it will be before that. That Tuesday, September 2nd at 9 a.m. Pacific time is when that hits. And yes, it will be very, very popular. But we're going to have a look at it right now. We'll do some close-ups. Of course, the car show is already set up. We know what that is going to be. So, obviously a little different here. And I'll just show you. I actually cut it open just to make sure this was the RWB. And it is, of course. So that's what it's going to be shipped in, at least. Here it is, Porsche license. That's important. We can talk about that. And I think that's one of the reasons that this becomes, like, anytime an RWB is released in Hot Wheels, it's a big deal because it's a very complicated license. You know, obviously, RWB Porsches were original Porsches, but they've been modified by Akira Nakai. And so to get this license, not only do you need Porsche's approval, but you also need RWB licensing through the RWB organization and Porsche's approval. And without a lot of details, and I don't know a lot of details, and I don't know all the specifics and all the facts, but that's not an easy license to acquire, and it's probably not an easy license to maintain, as evidenced by every one of these being wildly popular. And I would assume the powers that be at Hot Wheels would say, hey, this model, if we can release one every year, we will, because we want people gobbling them up, especially in RLC. So that is my assumption, is why we don't see this very often. Does that mean we're going to see a rollout of these, once a year moving forward? No idea, and I bet there's no guarantee. In fact, in the description on Mattel Creations, they said, it's out now, we don't know if we're going to see it again. I don't know if that's a statement of fact or a little bit of, making it a little bit of FOMO, making us a little hyped up for it, but it's here, it's being released, and we get to have a look at it. So here's the box. There's not much. All we know is that obviously it's going back to the standard acrylic. We'll show you this one here in a second. I don't think this is numbered. My assumption is there's a limit 2 per account from what I've seen on Mattel Creations. My assumption is they've made quite a few of these, and to make them available to the many, many folks who are going to want it. And so we will do that. All right, so there is the box with the Porsche. You wish they could put it down here, but Porsche might ask for it to be displayed prominently, and actually probably better on this than here, and this is unbelievable. That art, I don't know if this was Matt Gabe or someone else. I'll have to try and find out who did it, but this is some amazing artwork on the box. I love the colors here. And if you want to freeze the screen to see that, you are more than welcome to. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can freeze it. Me reading it is not necessarily needed to be done. There's the Porsche license again. See, they could put the sticker there, I would think, but I'm assuming they've asked for it to be featured prominently. You want to look at the model? There it is. We'll get this super close up. I am so excited to open this thing up. In fact, let's talk real quickly, and then we'll get close up on all the models, because we've only got this is the 5th. Obviously, it's the 2nd Ultra RLC Premium, but it's the 5th RWB Porsche that Hot Wheels has done. So we'll get to that in a second, but let me just give you a quick history if you want. The original run of the RWB is back. This was the debut, 2018. So, I mean, it does seem like it it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was 7 years ago that this was released, which is crazy to me. It's hard to think that it's been that long. Original silhouettes mix, and obviously this was one of the debuts. They weren't doing chases back then. Matte black, raw welt. This is the Stella Artois. They can't put a Stella Artois on the body, but that was what the actual model, one of the original RWBs, right? That was done, and it said Stella Artois where it says raw welt here. Really clean. We'll get to that. So this was the first release in silhouettes. This one was actually signed by Christian Kujan. This was a gift back then when we were talking about that model. Then, of course, it was released in Team Transport, maybe the next year, yeah, 2019. And in this beautiful purple, we'll showcase that one up close as well. So there was the Team Transport. If we're going chronologically, then we saw it pop into RWB, I'm sorry, into the RLC. I promise you during this video, I will say RLC when I should say RWB, and I will definitely say RWB when I should say RLC. This is 2019 as well. So that's when, and I think it was, produced in 2019, released in 2020, if I'm remembering correctly. And they did this special like they did with the Magnus Walker set. They did this special set with Akira Nakai, the little Akira Nakai figure on it, and we'll get this one up close as well, because this model is kind of a mix of, it is the result of two of Hot Wheels' most well-known designers, to be sure. The original was, for premium, was designed by Jun Amai, obviously before he left Mattel to do Kaido House. And then this one, RLC, was those notes taken and then a ton of details added and opening parts and a couple other really just ambitious elements to this by Brendan Vituski, who is doing, and still is doing, I think, well, he might be moving off it, but he's still doing a lot of the RLC models and just, adding all these movie parts. This is a masterpiece, this casting, and obviously we're going to dig into it once we get to the car show. So that was released, and then it was gone for 5 years, right? This one, we called it a one-hit wonder, maybe the most famous one-hit wonder of the last 5 or 10 years, until this year, earlier this year, Silhouettes returned. This is Silhouettes 2, and with it came the RWB again. So there's clearly a narrative in between these two, right? Once these were released in 2019 and 2020, that license clearly went away, because Hot Wheels would have made more. There's no doubt they would have made more. In premium, in RLC, but somehow it was gone. Whether that was, whatever the story is, there's probably someone to tell it. They probably don't want to tell it to us, but ultimately it did go away until 2025, early 2025, and it returned somehow, some way. RWB, Porsche, and Hot Wheels, Mattel all got together again, and we got the RWB Porsche 930 returning in white with Silhouettes 2. And now we have this one. So, what do we need to do? We need to see this unbelievably beautiful Spectre Flame teal RWB Porsche 930 up close. So let's do it. All right, we're in the studio. Got to give it a nice close-up, clear shot. It is so cool. So excited to open this up. So what we're going to do, obviously, it's in this new packaging. It is screwed in, and it has this whole little shape piece here that keeps the trunk and the doors basically closed. So we'll get to that in just a second. And we also got to take off the original. So I've also opened up the original RLC RWB. Like I said, I'm going to get really confused. So let's do close-ups. So, we're doing the history. This is a car show we have to do, right? So you got to go through and get these on the turntable for sure. So let's go through the very quick history. Here it is. This is the original. Call it the Stella Artois. It's not, but it is. But it's not, but it is. And matte black. It is the signature RWB. At least it has been. It has been from the original, from the origins. Jun Amai design, like I said, really well detailed. The way the exhausts were done in the back, obviously the whole bumper delete in the back, very much RWB. Wide stance, of course. He's Akira Nakai has done other, other Porsches, but the 930 is kind of the signature, and I think will always be the signature for RWB. And this one just had to be the first one, and it is pretty fantastic, just in straight matte black with the gold trim. Of course, the fabulous Team Transport. I like the Stella Artois for what it is, but this one might be the prettiest of them. I mean, well, until the RLC now, but this purple with the, what do you call that? I don't know if you call those rims gold, but the gold trim with all of the other details on this one. We'll put it on the hauler, show it to you on the hauler for a second here. Hauler is pretty nice too. RWB branding on it, of course. Kristen Kujan's branding as well, with the thumbs up in front of the face, with the skull. Really cool. But yeah, and I think there is a name for this car too. And then when you go up close, you can see that there's a ton of detailing, like kind of subtle detailing on it. I love the RWB on the back here, the way they've stylized that. But yeah, this one is a really, really cool. I'm gonna say cool a lot. I mean, how can you say they're not? RWB has had its ups and downs, I think, in the car culture discussion the last few years. It's going to happen when something takes over and is this popular. It's going to have its detractors and it's going to have its supporters, and that's just with car culture. Just like anything else. But that beautiful purple one is fabulous. Of course, if we're just staying in the premium, waited 5 years and then it returned, and this is no slouch either. I love that they did white. I think the choice of the rims and the color of the rims is really good on this one too. I don't know. I mean, this one has its name on it. It's like 1048 style, and I don't want to butcher what it says, but is it Kamiwaza, Japan? Is that what it says there on that? Nonetheless, another beautiful model. Casting returns and looks fantastic. And of course, it was as popular as any in the set. And when you're looking at car culture this year too, this will be one of the most popular, even though it's not the newest casting, right? You've already got, I mean, it's not a lot, but those three together, I don't know if I've done that. Well, doing it on this setup, on the Wiz Calistro setup, it looks even cooler. But we have two models to add. So we're going to take this one out. Got to pull out the old screwdriver. I've got my tools. And we're going to leave the figure. The figure, if I pop the figure off of this, it's not going back on. As you can see there. By the way, this one was 12,000 produced, which is a minuscule number these days, but 12,000 produced. That's why this model is quite valuable. Taken on quite the, on the secondary market, it's quite expensive, of course, but not very many produced, and of course a very popular model, but it is no longer a one-hit wonder, right? Let me unscrew this one and we'll get into the details of that. All right, here it is. We'll just get it on the turntable. We'll talk about, well, so Brendan Matusky did this one, and it's got some pretty cool detailing on the back all around. I mean, this is essentially a redo. Redo sounds like it's like they made mistakes first one. It's just an ultra premium of the Stella Artois, this time in, I guess you call it Spectre Flame Black, of course, right? But it has the opening trunk. We'll look at that. Where I'll just actually show it on the turntable open. There's details in there that are pretty phenomenal for a Hot Wheels. Speedometer, all the gauges detailed. Maybe from this angle you can see them better. Trying to get it to focus. We're so up close here. Anyway, we'll put it on the turntable. So pretty. You're not asking for my opinion on RWBs, and I can understand the sentiment for the Porsche purists, for certain car culture. I understand everybody's argument, but I think there's room for kind of everything. And this one is such a unique, Akira Nakai is such a unique artist, and what he's done with these cars and how he's made these Porsches kind of their own thing. And I just am happy that Hot Wheels can do the art, and other diecast companies are able to get the license to create these. I mean, look at this. Just so cool. And now we have this one to add. So let's do it. Pop it. I'm just looking at it right now. In fact, let's just put it on the turntable as is. You know, we'll take it off of this, but you can see it with the doors closed and the trunk. A couple things to note already. Matte black spoiler, I think. Is that a plastic? You know, I think that spoiler is plastic. I don't think I ever noticed that on the black one. It's plastic. So there's the base of the spoiler. There's the base of the spoiler in metal as part of the trunk, and then this plastic piece, which I've said this in other videos. I like plastic spoilers on these premiums because I think they can look a little bit tighter, a little bit more crisp. I never noticed that. I always assumed it was just part of the body, but that is definitely a plastic spoiler. That's cool. And now you've got that, you know, that brake there, that two-tone brake. That's kind of nice. All right, let's get this off. All right, here it is. Let's get into the light. Wow, it is just, that color is so pretty. Again, if this is based on an actual, I'm sure it is. You get the 5-spoke wheels on this one, which is the first time I think we've seen that. We've seen the six spokes on every model so far. So we get the 5 spokes on this one, which look really nice. Deep dish 5 spokes on the back, which looks cool too. Super, super wide. Exhaust is like a copper color. You're getting some, you know, copper treatment on the wheels. And then, of course, the trim on the windshield, the signature raw welt banner. Oh, and then the roll cage is in that copper color as well. We haven't even opened up the engine. Okay, so we're getting the details again too. See if I can get it into focus. Yeah. Super up close details. Even the seat belts appear to be, or the seat belt appears to be colored as well. So that's rad, the harness there. And then of course, let's take a look at the engine, and it's in that copper color. I think that's part of the exhaust as well, as Brendan designed it. Put it on the turntable, all opened up so you can take a look at it. Up close and clear. It's just stunning. You know, I don't know. I mean, I always do the, what do I like better? Do I like the black one, or do I, you know, the original or this one? No idea. I'm just really happy that we actually have a family of RWBs formed. I mean, that makes me just so happy to see this. So we close this up and we'll back this one in. There you go. Wow, what a sight. What a sight. Wiz Calistro's set looks beautiful here. Kind of a perfect setting for these RWBs. That is pleasing. That is collecting Hot Wheels, collecting diecast. That's like a pleasure of collecting diecast, is seeing those 5 together, and they look so good together. Wow, I am stoked to see these together. You guys tell me what you think. If you were on the fence and then I convinced you, great. I don't think this is going to have any problem selling. I think everyone's going to go after it. And what is it, Overdrive? You Overdrive folks are probably pretty happy right now to be getting yours automatically. There will be a battle on Tuesday for it, and it's worth it. Thank you, Mattel, for sending this. You guys let me know what you think. You into this one? There's no denying. That's awesome. Thanks, everybody. Bye.